So I'm heading to get a car wash right now. I usually wash my own car at home, but it takes me maybe like an hour or two to wash my car. But I remember when there was a point where part of my exposure therapy was just being outside. Um, Even if I'm just outside on my driveway, which I mentioned this before, I did struggle just getting the mail, opening the door for the delivery person, checking who's at the door. Before I started having panic attacks, things like that, I never knew that. I never actually knew anything about anxiety. I never knew anyone that talked about it, anything like that. But once I started having it myself, and when I used to work, where I used to work for 8 years, and then some of my coworkers asked me, what happened to me? How come I quit my job? I told them, and then some of them actually told me they used to have panic attacks, but they never had it where they couldn't leave the house. They just had it, but like I said, they never said anything about having a hard time leaving the house. But they told me, having it sucks. But at the same time, sure, the feeling sucks, the symptoms, the sensation sucks, but after a while, you realize that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just having panic attacks for whatever reason. Some people might have it, something trigger, and they might know why it triggered. And there are people like myself that I didn't know what triggered. Maybe it was me from working by myself at night, and by myself, and having to do more work by myself, and maybe in the long run it just overworked my mind and body, and I didn't take good care of myself for whatever reason. Maybe that triggered me to having anxiety. I mentioned this before. I lost my brother, my second oldest brother, over 2 years ago because he had a stroke. And every time I hear my mom and my dad, my older sibling, I'm the youngest, talking about my brother, and I think I instantly get flashback, and it starts making me worry about what if I start losing my other siblings, my family, things like that. And I worry about my family more than I worry about myself. And you can't take care of your family if you can't take care of yourself. At the same time, you shouldn't worry about what other people say about you. About how you look, how you dress, what you drive, your skin color, your flaws. I have pimples. I get bumps on the back of my head that hurts, and I used to wear a hoodie even in the middle of summer, just to cover it up so no one looks at it, and now I'm like, what? If I have a bump on my head and people look, I don't really care, because they don't know how it's like to have it. Who knows if they're looking at it, or maybe they're looking at it and saying, oh my God, I get them too. So don't let someone bring you down because of your anxiety. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't hide it, because once you hide it, it's just going to eat you up alive. At first, I was embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed to tell people, oh, I'm afraid to leave my house. They're going to say, oh, you used to leave your house like nothing, and then I realized by me hiding it, it only gets worse. So don't try to hide it. And when you try to hide your panic disorder or any other kind of illness you have, it just, like I said, it's going to eat you up alive, and it's just going to make it worse. Then you're going to start having more negative thoughts, more equals more anxiety equals, then you're going to have depression, and your symptoms are going to increase. My symptoms, I started getting more symptoms when I stopped going to work, when I stopped leaving my house, even just to go to my backyard. My symptoms increased. By me doing that, I started avoiding. I avoid turning on the lights in my house, in my room. I would be sitting in my bedroom in the middle of the night with no lights on, trying to eat, because I start getting hypersensitive to noise, bright lights, colors. My I can start hearing things better. My eyes, I can start seeing clear, and then that sounds good, and everything. But however, everything I looked at, nothing feel real, nothing look real. If I smell something, it smells like smells like it was too strong. I couldn't handle it. If I ate something, and it gave me an upset stomach, I mentioned this before. I have a phobia with throwing up. I had it even before I had panic attacks. And it would just make me depressed. When I started having anxiety, I didn't get depression till I couldn't leave my house. And once I couldn't leave my house, that's when the depression came along. And the depression came along, and then I started having more symptoms. I started having more sensations. I avoided doing a lot of things. I couldn't even reply back to a quick yes or no question from my own family. If they asked me if I wanted to eat something, I had to think about it. Normally you would just say yes or no when someone asks you a simple question. When you have anxiety, you'll mess this with how you look at yourself, how you think. It takes you a long time just to say yes or no, because you're out there thinking about the simplest thing. Now when someone asks me something, I can answer it just like how it used to be. So some people might say, "Oh, you're gonna live with anxiety for the rest of your life." I don't think that's true. You can manage it a lot better. Once you manage it, you're not gonna really notice the symptoms, the sensation. They don't really scare you as much. And once you don't fear them, they will leave you alone. You might not even notice them. Right now when I get headaches, I don't really notice them. I would just go out and say, "Oh, I have a headache," and just continue on my day. Before, when I start getting headaches, I would just lay down. I would get ready I would just put my beanie on. When it's sunny, when there's so much light, so much sun, bright color from the lights and the sunshine and all that, everything around you just seems so busy. It increases your headaches. And then, I would just wear my beanie, put my headphones on, try to block out all the noise, whatever was, everything that bothered me, I try to block out. And it didn't really help. It actually made my anxiety worse. Like I said, when you avoid something, it gives you more anxiety. You might think it was helping you at first, but it actually made it worse. So, our brain's so powerful, and I think when you have anxiety, it's not the worst case. It's not the worstest thing that out there. Sure, like I mentioned, the symptoms, the sensation, all those things, they suck, they're scary. I get that, but think about it. Without anxiety, we would we would be out there doing things we shouldn't be doing. We would risk our own life. We would be doing things that could hurt ourselves, could hurt others. You know, there's different levels of anxiety. There's ones that you have a little, you worry about paying the bill, you worry about your family, which everyone does. But when you have high level of anxiety, you start worrying about other things that are out of your control. You even worry about why you're worrying about what you're worrying about. And myself guilty of that. Once I start having anxiety, I start worrying, okay, is that person that's walking behind me looking at me funny? And what if I have a panic attack in front of people? What if this happens? What if that happens? Like I mentioned, a lot of things that I think it's going to happen actually never happen. So by us thinking negatively about ourselves and allowing other people to say, oh, you have anxiety, you're weak. You don't need to listen to those people because they don't have the same anxiety we do. They can say, oh, I worry about paying the bills. I worry about my family too, but you don't see me having a hard time getting my mail because I'm worrying about my family. The thing is, when people that have normal level of anxiety, they don't get the symptoms that we get. Sure, people can get dizzy, they can feel sick for whatever reason, but they don't get it by going out and getting the mail and things like that. But like I said, don't let people bring you down. And if you have family, friends, or whatever that brings you down, you don't need to listen to them. I'm happy that my family doesn't judge me for things like that because they know that they see it. They see how I am when I didn't have anxiety. That I try to do a lot of things. I try to multitask. I talked about this before. I have a learning disability, so it takes me a longer time to learn something. I have a hard time reading. I have a hard time spelling. I have a hard time with a lot of things that other people might not have a hard time with. But at the same time, I know there are other people out there that have the same thing I have. So don't be afraid of someone looking at you because of your anxiety. You never know, that person that walking behind you might have anxiety, might be out there doing exposure therapy. We never know what someone else is going through, because of how they look, how they dress. Some people are embarrassed to hide. They have to hide from it, things like that. I talk to some people, they say, oh, well, I try to hide it because I don't want people to judge me. And I was the same way, and then after a while, I was like, I said, so what? If I have this, I have it. I'm not going to be embarrassed for who I am, how I look, how I dress. I am me. I can't make everyone happy. If you can't make, the only person you should make happy is yourself. If you can't please everyone, at least please yourself, because there's no point of trying to make someone happy if it makes you sad. And that's what I've been telling myself now, and I say, you know what, I don't care what someone thinks about me because of my panic attacks. Like I said, when I didn't have a panic attack, I never knew anything about this disorder, but I wouldn't go out and judge someone based off how they look, how they dress, because I don't know them from the inside. I don't know if they're going to do something that is making their life difficult and things like that. That's why people commit suicide, because other people are judging others, and to me that's fucked up. That's all I can say. But anyways, I'm here at the car wash, but like I said, don't let anyone bring you down because of how you look, how you dress, whatever kind of illness you might have, things like that. But anyways, that's pretty much it for today, and just don't let anxiety bring you down, or don't let anything bring you down actually.